So with all three parties, which include Monica Rial, Ron Toye, and Vic Mignogna's deposition now having to be made public, I took it upon myself to once again create a highlight video for you guys to sit back and watch all of the depositions, in further gauging yourselves and getting a better understanding as to what exactly went down during the depositions involving Vic, Monica, and Ron, but also having to get an inside perspective as to the questions being asked, the responses from each individual, and the overall demeanor of each person having to be deposed on camera. So again, I hope you guys sit back and create a judgment of your own by letting me know in the comment section below as to where you guys stand. If of course you guys do stand with Vic Mignogna, give this video a big thumbs up. If of course you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. Follow me on Twitter at UnrealNetwork, as I do also encourage you guys to watch through the entire video, because you are going to get a perspective as to where each individual is coming from, which is why I want to also ask you as to where you personally stand by the end of all of these depositions. So without wasting any more time, please make sure you guys go ahead and further share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and all other social media outlets to further spread the message of awareness. And with that being said, let's get into the deposition highlights. Here we go.
I can only assume, I think a reasonable person would assume, that there were entities at Funimation that did not like me for whatever reason and wanted me gone, did not want me to play the character Broly that I'd been playing for 15 years. And so to ask me the question, your question was who at Funimation would do that?
Well, when you
I think it's been established there are people at Funimation that don't like me much and wanted me gone.
Well, when you say that there are people at Funimation who don't like you much and wanted you gone, who are you referring to specifically?
Chris Sabat.
Is he a Funimation employee?
I would say he has a great deal of weight at Funimation. A great deal of weight. And I mean, yes, he is probably. Funimation outsources production to his studio. Chris Sabat has been involved with Funimation since Funimation was in the Frost Bank building on 820 when I started working there. So Chris Sabat for one.
And what would you say are the rumors that have kind of persisted?
Well, this is one of the biggest ones, that I'm homophobic. Although there's not 1 ounce of evidence. No, I would challenge anyone to provide any public comment or attitude or anything that ever proves that I've been rude or cruel or hateful or mean or ever made a homophobic remark. I have several friends that are gay. There are many friends of mine that worked on my Star Trek production who are gay. I attended a transsexual friend's wedding.
This is my dear friend Ray.
And this is Madara.
My favorite Yoshimori. I want you to know something. Don't let people get you down. Okay. I want you to know that there are a lot of people that love you. And on your bad days, when you're having a rough time, I'm going to pull this video out. I want you to remind yourself that I love you, she loves you, God loves you, Madara loves you, and you are awesome. And don't let anyone ever tell you different.
Thank you so much.
You kind of apologize in that letter to people you've made feel uncomfortable. Was there anybody in particular you were thinking, or was it just more of a generic?
No, it was generic. It was the idea of somebody that I might have hugged for a photo that didn't say anything at the time, but of course they went home and posted about how they didn't appreciate it or something, and I apologize to those people for not being sensitive to that.
Now, were there allegations floating around after January 16, 2019 that you were a pedophile?
Well, people have been throwing that word around for,
For what?
Well, just for a while.
About you?
Yes.
For how long?
I don't know.
I mean, when's the first time you can recall?
I don't recall. Like I said, there are people out there that see me hugging someone for a photo in front of 300 other people and 25 video cameras. It's purely for the photo, and they decide somehow that I'm a pedophile. There is no evidence of that. There's no proof of it. There are no charges. There are no convictions.
Let's say someone tweets out that you are a pedophile. What would you think you would typically do in response?
I would ignore that.
Let's say that, okay, let's say that thousands of people see that tweet and start commenting on it. What would you do?
Objection form.
I would ignore it.
So you've ignored it and never commented on it?
Objection form.
Depends, sometimes.
Well, what accusation would you feel strongly enough that you would defend yourself on? What accusation would be made?
Objection form.
If it wasn't a... Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, you just said that it depends on the accusation, right?
Correct.
Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Sargon.
What accusations, give me some examples rather, strike that. Give me examples of accusations that would move you to defend yourself publicly.
Objection form.
I'm not sure.
Anything.
Well, I mean, you said being accused of a pedophile wouldn't.
Right.
Okay, what if you were accused of being a murderer? Would that induce you to defend yourself?
Objection form.
Nope.
You said it depends on the accusation. I'm asking you to give me an example of an accusation that would move you to defend.
I'm not sure. It depends on the moment, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I have never encouraged anyone to do anything hateful or negative, attacking, certainly not death threats.
And anybody associated with you, do you know if they've encouraged that type of behavior?
No, sir. I've heard people tell that they've received death threats, and I've also heard that every time they're put on the spot to produce said death threats, they never do. I don't know if that's true or not. So I've heard the buzz, but I don't really have any personal knowledge.
Right.
And did you tweet on February 11th, 2019 at 8:09 p.m. that Vic is the legal definition of harassment?
That was not my intent. There's a typo. I didn't even realize that I had accidentally said he's the legal definition. I meant to say, here's the legal definition of harassment. And I didn't realize it was a typo until I was sent my takedown notices.
Did you take
If
it
you
down?
read the entire thread, you can see that I was being harassed, and so I was trying to explain to children that don't understand what harassment
Did you take it down?
Okay. And what is your definition of harassment?
Harassment to me is constantly bugging and picking on someone, even after they've repeatedly asked you to stop, or I can't answer said questions, or whatever, to the point of being a nuisance or a threat.
You seem to have complained a lot, and if I'm mischaracterizing the tweets, please correct me, but you seem to have complained a great deal about the fact that people are challenging Monica Rial's testimony, Jamie Markey's testimony, and accusations against Vic Mignogna. You seem to not be happy about that in these tweets. Is that fair?
Objection form.
I'm not sure. I'm not happy that Vic assaulted Monica.
All right, I'm calling this deposition. I'm going up to talk to the judge, Casey. This is bullshit.
Okay.
Please strike that.
I don't know.
Your client is being non-responsive in violation of 199.5.
Ty.
You have not produced the tweets. We're trying to authenticate this so that we don't have to go do this. But I've had enough of this.
Ty, look.
Don't start that shit with me, Casey. What
are you so excited about?
I'm excited because you're being condescending. I'm getting tired of it.
Ty, all right. All right.
Yes,
I'm not being. Listen, I don't understand. You're defensive. I'm not being condescending. I am not. Okay.
If I may ask, what were the pet names?
Honey, baby, sweet cheeks, silly little things like that.
I can't answer for her. I don't know what's in her mind. I can't say whether she believed it was true or whether she was joining in to pile on. I don't know.
Objection, sidebar comments. Carrie, that's inappropriate. And that's the second time I've heard you comment about the witness. Carrie, you understand? Do you understand?
I
All right.
understand you fully.
Then let's
Calm
stop the
down.
cute remarks.
Calm down.
I'm calm.
No, you're not.
Stop making
Don't
little
yell at
snide
me.
remarks.
Don't yell at me.
Okay, well, then behave yourself.
I am.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, did you actually tell a female attorney to behave herself?
I did.
You got to be joking.
Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Let's go.
Isn't that harassment? According to their definition, it is, Casey.
Well, I don't
Carrie,
know. I don't know.
yeah,
Mr.
Yeah, no,
Toye.
actually, according to their definition, what you just said to me is
Yeah.
harassment.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Yeah, it's fine.
And we're going off the record at 2:17.
I didn't want to do this. I sat by for 5 months and let these people destroy me online. I didn't even know what to do. I literally did not respond. I did not attack back. I didn't even defend. I just couldn't believe it was happening for 5 months. And when it got to the point where I had lost so much, I realized that my only recourse was legal recourse. I wasn't looking for money. I wasn't asking for anything but to be left alone and to be allowed to have my career and my work.
What, in your personal opinion, would it take for Vic to be able to come back to work?
Objection 4.
I believe I stated it in one of my Twitter statements, or I know I've said it on Twitter repeatedly, that I've said that if he would apologize and he would seek counseling and seek help, that at that point, then I feel like maybe they would consider and lay low for a while, that maybe in the future he would have a path to redemption.
The first several, for the first bit of time, I can't tell you exactly how much time, were rather vague. And that was when I wrote her. As I said, we'd been friends, my understanding, for 20 years.
Okay. The public apologies, what would those be?
I put out a tweet at some point that just basically said, I am extremely sorry for any certainly unintended offense or, anything that has hurt or offended anyone. Certainly never my intention. And I also apologized publicly at an event.
And who were you apologizing to?
Specifically?
Yeah.
Anyone who I inadvertently offended.
And what did you think you were apologizing for?
Inadvertently offending them.
And when you say inadvertently offending, you're talking about giving hugs or kisses and things like that to people that didn't want it.
Whatever it was that people had a problem with.
Do you know if there was an investigation by Funimation of Victor Mignogna with regards to the allegations of sexual misconduct that have come out this year?
I know they spoke to Monica.
Funimation spoke
Correct.
to Monica?
Because she's my fiance.
She told you?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When did she tell you about?
I don't remember.
A month ago?
I'm not sure.
I mean, what I'm asking is, was it more than a month ago?
I'm not sure.
Really? Okay.
Look at this smirk. Oh my God, you smug, slap-worthy person.
Have you had any communication with anyone associated with Funimation about Victor Mignogna?
I'm not sure.
Really?
Okay. Really?
Not that I can think of. Again, in that time period, I was receiving more tweets per day than Clint Eastwood, Joe Pesci, and a couple of other actors I looked up. I was under assault and harassment. So I don't know who most of these people that were attacking and harassing me were.
So this could be about Bill Cosby?
Very possible.
That film, Dragon Ball Broly, was the third highest grossing anime film in the United States. Does that sound right to you? Were you pretty pleased with that success level?
It was a privilege. I was really proud to be a part of it. I mean, I played this character for 15 years, and he would be in video games and stuff, and when I would do events, fans would always say, oh, I love Broly's my favorite character in Dragon Ball. When are they ever going to do anything more with him? And I would always say, I don't know, wouldn't that be fun? And then when this movie was announced, I was really excited about it.
That's a big deal. you know, third highest grossing. And I assume that brings with it a pretty significant fan base.
I already had, I think they already existed.
Okay.
I think. I don't, again, I don't do any analytics or count this or that. But I think my overall body of work over the years has been pretty well received.
And I believe you said this earlier, but if you had distanced yourself from Vic, why would you have sent the kissy face emoji?
Because it's my job to put up appearances and make it appear as though everything is great, but also, like I said in my statement, I made every effort to try and move past that event, thinking it was a one-time thing with me alone. And I wanted to forgive him. I wanted to believe that he was a better person than that.
Could you just have said, I had fun?
Objection form.
Yes, but if you look at my Twitter, you'll see that I use emojis all the time. So it would have been out of character for me not to use an emoji.
Oh, yes,
I use
everyone.
hearts constantly.
If you turn to Exhibit 8, page 9.
It's so funny to me.
Which is funny.
I'm reading this. So she has this horrific experience, and then a second situation, she agreed to come by my room briefly. Now, why would she do that? I'm sorry. I didn't even, like I said, some of this is still kind of fresh.
Yesterday, when Ron gave his deposition, he had indicated that a lie could be just not telling about something. Do you agree with that?
Objection 4.
To me, a lie is knowingly telling a falsehood. I can't speculate what Ron thinks it is.
And what does that appear to be?
I honestly am not sure. Which is it? One of these? It's either a blog, book, manga, or about.
Okay. What is the title saying?
It says "Fixing the Staircase: Vic Mignogna's Sexual Assault Allegations and the Voice Actors Who Speak Out."
Okay. Did you provide any information for this article?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
You idiot, Monica. You idiot. You and Ron are both idiots.
The reason you consider them to be defamatory is what?
Because they clearly imply that I am guilty of harassment, threatening behavior. There's no proof or evidence of that. And if I'm not mistaken, Funimation on the phone told me that they were not going to be releasing any public statement. When they terminated me, I should say Sony, in the conversation they called me and terminated me, they said they would not be releasing any public statement. And shortly after, I can't remember, a week, 2 weeks after, maybe a week, they released these tweets publicly.
Okay. Were there any other tweets other than these tweets?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why did you come forward like in January of this year?
Objection 4.
Do you mean on Twitter?
On Twitter or with the investigation with Funimation?
Objection 4.
With the investigation, I came forward because, as I said earlier, the twins let me know they needed to talk to me about something, and they emailed me their statement, and I read it, and when I read it, I noticed that there were details that were so incredibly similar to what had happened to me that it started to make me wonder if maybe the one-time thing wasn't a one-time thing, and maybe I had forgiven him, not realizing that there was more to the story.
If I heard you correctly, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, if I heard you correctly, you seemed to say to me that whether or not the statement "only an idiot would vote for Trump as harassment" depends on what third parties do.
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Then please tell me how you think that statement could be harassment.
Objection 4.
I'm not sure.
Question. Does that change your answer that it could be harassment?
Nervous,
But I'm not sure.
Okay. Could be, couldn't be.
Just depends.
Depends on what?
I'm not sure.
Do you believe that Vic should lose a 20-year career?
Objection 4.
I believe that actors deserve a safe work environment, and if that has to be the outcome, then yes. I just want to be able to say I ate Monica Rial. Again, it was the delivery. It wasn't like he just said it. He actually was touching my face and pulling me towards him when he said it.
Did you tell anyone about the jelly bean incident prior to January of 2019?
I know that Greg and I had spoken about it once before, just going, oh, you remember that weird thing that happened? But no, I did not. That was not something that I made common knowledge.
For the first several months, I found it very difficult to really do much of anything. I had offers from people to do certain things, and I found it very difficult to get motivated.
Did you do those?
Didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I was losing weight.
Did you do those things you had offers to do? Did you turn them down?
I haven't done them. I asked them if I could have some time.
Okay.
And I believe I've looked at a tweet, which we'll get into a little bit later, that had your Twitter handle that indicated there were dozens of people that came forward. Is that an accurate statement?
Objection 4.
Over the years, I can't, without looking at the tweet, I don't know exactly what I was referring to, but there have been more than just the one investigation by Funimation over the years. There's been quite a few.
Are you taking any medication as a result of the defamation that you claim to have suffered?
I am taking 2 medications. One is losartan for high blood pressure, and one is Zoloft for, I guess it's an antidepressant.
And did you take that before these allegations came out?
No, that started in late January.
Okay. Have you been unable to work as a result of any mental issues that you're suffering because of this alleged defamation? Not that somebody's not letting you work, but that you can't get up and go to work. You understand the distinction?
The first time I'm sure you have all reviewed the tweets and stuff. The first week or two, Monica made several very vague references online. I have a story, it happened to me, and people would ask, and she wasn't really very specific for a week or two, I can't remember.
And in your opinion, just your opinion, what would you define a friend to be?
A friend is someone who you can trust inherently and that you enjoy spending time with, and depending on the amount of friendship, can be almost like a family member.
And prior to 2007, did you consider Vic to be like a family member?
Not like a family member.
Well, there's a difference between doing something on a regular basis and no idea where somebody would get that.
Have you ever done that? You ever at a convention in front of people reached your hand up behind a woman's hair and pulled her hair back, her head back?
No.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
Okay.
You said that if the evidence was corroborated, could you give me some examples of corroborating evidence that you think would be corroborating?
Multiple people saying the same story, same account of what happened.
Okay. So if 2 people call you a pedophile, should you lose your job?
Objection 4.
If the company did the investigation and they deemed it ready for 2 people,
Oh
absolutely.
my God.
I can't.
All it takes is 2 people.
Objection.
And a company investigation, and you should lose your job.
Objection 4.
A person who is accused of those things and 2 people say it to a company should have the right to make a determination if that's the type of person they want to employ. Yeah.
What
Or
if the
contract.
company's investigation isn't fair? Do you still think that you should lose your job?
Objection 4.
The company's in a position to make a decision what's best for the company.
Okay, that's non-responsive. Objection, non-responsive. If the company's investigation is not fair, as you define the word fair,
Sure.
is it reasonable that you would then lose your job merely because 2 people accuse you of being a pedophile?
Objection 4.
Yes, it's fair.
It's fair.
It's absolutely fair.
So whatever the company wants to do
Correct.
is okay with you.
As long as there's been an investigation to whatever matter.
I didn't see this, but I was told about it.
Okay.
I was in a pretty difficult state at this point. I apologized for not really considering, that while there may be 500 people who appreciate that kind of kindness, there may be a few that don't. when they're visibly emotional or upset, and you're wanting to be comforting and kind to them. All of these things happened in full public view of many people standing around, shooting videos, taking pictures. It wasn't sexual in any way. It wasn't private or sadistic or weird in any way. It was literally meant as an act of kindness.
And so then with that, coupled with then telling me the same thing, which again was along the same lines of what had happened to me, then I decided that I should probably speak up, if for nothing else, because of the statute of limitations passing. At least it would corroborate the other stories so that they would know that they weren't the only ones.
And you understand that there are people who have accused you of inappropriate acts that have not disclosed their names. You're aware of that?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that you, because they want to maintain their privacy, you would not want those names disclosed publicly?
I believe that someone who makes accusations publicly, especially with the intention of destroying someone's reputation or job, at least should be identified. I don't believe somebody should have the power to destroy someone and remain safely anonymous.
Think you're a pretty good judge of character of people?
Apparently not. I thought I was.
And when did you start to doubt your ability to judge people's character?
When people that I have known for many, many years who have treated me publicly, privately, to my face, in dozens of settings as friends, and then spent the last 5 months trying to ruin my career and reputation. I had no indication when it happened or in the years that followed that we've been friends and interacted that there was anything offensive or painful about it. In my mind, my recollection, it was very casual, playful interaction, as happens all the time in the hallways of Funimation.
But you would agree that she certainly could have perceived it differently than you.
Sure.
This issue is exacerbated by his age, as any 56-year-old who spends so much time interacting with young girls on a website without parental supervision and who then embraces and kisses these children at conventions is going to raise eyebrows, even if innocuous. You agree with that statement?
No, sir. This is completely inflammatory.
You don't think that it's odd that a 56-year-old man embraces and kisses children at a convention is
no, sir.
Going to raise eyebrows?
Sorry?
What's inflammatory about the statement?
If I may.
Sure.
So much time. How much is that? Who's to determine how much so much time is on a website without parental supervision? The person who wrote this does not know any of that factually. This is meant to inflame. Hold on. Let me please finish. Embraces and kisses children. Yeah, like every other voice actor does in public for photo ops at conventions. It's not seedy and dirty and pervy. And the vast majority of the people, many of them that I have met over the years, have no problem whatsoever with it. There is a small contingent that does, and I apologized to those people in the tweet where I said, I accept that I need to be more mindful that not everybody is open to that kind of interaction.
Are you familiar with a Twitter kick Vic?
I certainly know of it, yes.
Do you know when it started?
If memory serves, it started very shortly after January 16th, when the first tweets were posted.
And do you blame any of the defendants for that Twitter handle starting?
I don't know their involvement.
Right. Would you agree with me that that Twitter handle has gotten some level of notoriety in your community?
Sure.
And would you agree with me that that's also hurt your reputation?
Sure.
Do you know who created the I Stand With Vic Twitter?
No, I don't actually.
As I understand it, you may be seeking $1 million or more in this lawsuit. No?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I have not discussed any numbers of any kind of monetary anything.
All right. Do you believe that you've been damaged as a result of the defamation of Mrs.?
Yes.
Let me get the question out.
I'm sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
so sorry. Sorry.
Do you believe that you have been damaged as a result of the defamatory statements that you allege were made by the defendants in this case?
Yes.
Do you have can you put a monetary value on that?
No.
What would you need to know to put a monetary value on that?
If I may, Sean, let me answer by saying this. I didn't want to do this.
What are the factual statements that are made about you in this tweet? Something that could independently be verified by someone. If you read through it.
Well, this tweet alone, nothing.
Okay.
But she tweeted before this. When she initially tweeted her account of something.
Stan Dolan, the convention chair, had said, we're going to all go out to dinner with the staff, and we'd like for you guys to go. And we agreed, and then Vic said, hey, can you come by my hotel room? There's something I want to show you. And I can't recall exactly, I think it was the Full Metal Fantasy film that he had done, his fan film. And so I went to his hotel room because, like I said, I had been flirting with Raleigh all weekend, and he was dating a friend of mine named Michelle Specht. So I went with him to the hotel room. He played for me the video, and in the middle of the video, he grabbed me by the arms and he turned me around and he started kissing me. And, and I was...
It's okay.
I was raped when I was 15 years old. And so for me, it was a very difficult moment. I was frightened, I was scared, I didn't know what to do. When I was 15, I had fought back, and that didn't end well for me, so I just kind of went along with it. He kept kissing me and kind of pushed me back onto the bed and actually got on top of me, and I still have like a very visual, like a nightmare actually, that the feeling of looking at the door and thinking, how do I get out of this? Like how do I get out of there without ruining the friendship that we'd had, that we had built? And then Stan came to the door, and when Stan came to the door, he jumped up and ran to the door, and I kind of covered my face because being pale, if anything's happening, you can see it all over my face. Stan came in. He asked me as we were leaving, are you okay? I said, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I just kind of kept covering my face, and we went to dinner. I don't recall where we went or what was spoken about because I think I was in shock the whole time. And when we came back, he went out there. Outside of his room, there was this little patio, and he was standing on the patio, and he called Michelle, and he put me on the phone with Michelle. And that was hard for me because she was a friend of mine. And I remember that being the moment I talked to Michelle. I said goodnight, and then I went to my room. And
while you were doing press for Broly, or Dragon Ball, goodness, on December 17th, 2018 at 8:15 p.m., did you respond to a tweet made by Vic about doing press for that movie?
Objection form. And if we're going to, I think you're going to do this later, but if we're going to maybe talk about tweets, we should probably look at it. But
yes.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't know without seeing it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There was a lot of tweets happening this whole year.
This is just my observation, but to me, I would think that someone having more roles would be more powerful in an industry.
Uh-oh.
That's not necessarily the case. There are a lot of people who have a lot of roles who don't speak up, who don't, it just depends on the situation.
Okay. And what did you see that you felt made Vic powerful?
Well, he has a presence in the community. He was always wheeling and dealing and trying to find new connections, and so he did have a lot of connections in the industry. The studio saw him as somebody who they could attach his name to a project, and it would make more money. For example, there's a show called Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, and I'm one of the leads, and my name does not appear on the box, but Vic Mignogna's name does. Even though I'm the lead character.
If you had distanced yourself from Vic, why would you have sent the kissy face emoji?
Because it's my job to put up appearances and make it appear as though everything is great, but also, like I said in my statement, I made every effort to try and move past that event, thinking it was a one-time thing with me alone. And I wanted to forgive him. I wanted to believe that he was a better person than that.
Could you just have said, I had fun?
Objection to form.
Yes, but if you look at my Twitter, you'll see that I use emojis all the time. So it would have been out of character for me not to use an emoji.
Oh, yes,
I use
everyone.
hearts constantly.
I've seen him hug inappropriately fans at conventions, yes.
Tell me about one of those incidents, please.
Sure, grabbing a fan and wrapping his legs around her and hugging her.
Wrapping his legs around her?
Yes, like full-on body hug.
Okay. Where was this?
Maybe at Florida SuperCon. I think that was where it was at.
Was it in front of a bunch of fans?
Yes, it was at his autograph line.
So he walked up and hugged a fan.
No, she came up.
Okay. He hugged her. And you thought that was inappropriate?
The way he did it with the girl, not sure how old she was, absolutely.
Did you ask her?
No, neither did he.
Did you? I didn't ask about that. But that's fine. Did you ask her if she felt uncomfortable?
Was helping Monica.
That's not my question. Did you ask her if it
No.
was if she? Okay. So you didn't ask her if she felt it was uncomfortable, but you decided that it was inappropriate. Is that correct?
In my opinion, yes.
In your opinion. How do you know you're right in a situation like that?
I'm not sure. Just an opinion.
Right.